When I was learning how to write on Medium, I saw all of these bloggers publishing a ridiculous amount of articles on Medium. And I wondered, how did they come up with their ideas? How did they write so many articles in 1 week? And thirdly, how do they publish consistently to the point of obtaining a big audience? After publishing over 100 articles on the internet, I finally found a workflow that worked for me, and now I'm ready to share with you. In this video, I want to talk about how I write one Medium blog post in just about an hour. Hi there, my name is Shireen. I'm a nurse turned creator, and on this channel I document my journey on writing, personal growth, and making money online so that we can all learn how to create and live with intention, and I hope that you follow along. In a previous video where I shared my writing workflow using Notion, I talk about my whole writing process. So basically it goes like, I capture my idea, I write it on Notion, and then I edit using Grammarly or Hemingway, and then I publish my article on Medium. Today it's going to be a little bit more in-depth of that writing process. So the first thing that you need to learn is coming up with ideas. And as a writer, the most important thing that you have to do is capturing your ideas. Using a pen or a notebook, doesn't matter. As long as you're capturing your idea, that's the most important thing. How I come up with my own ideas personally is a lot of different ways. So when I'm scrolling on the internet, when something's bothering me and something good is happening to me, as you learn how to write online, you realize that you can turn any idea into a story. This is one of the skills that you need to learn, really just figuring out, how do I capture this idea and learn how to turn it into a story later on. So for this particular article that we're going to go through, it came to me while I was doing something in my personal life. I was looking for an Airbnb cleaner, and I thought, wow, being a homeowner sucks. In a good way, because now I was making money off of it. But regardless, that was the idea that popped into my head. So after coming up with your idea, you're gonna write the first draft. So for this process, you come up with 5 to 10 different headlines. But if you're super beginner, I'd go with your first instinct. The first headline is usually okay. This will just remove the friction of you actually learning how to write. Your headline generally has the rule of that it needs to tell a story without telling the whole story. In this case, I'm talking about the things I wish I knew before buying a condo at 25. So you have a lot of kind of insight as to, okay, this piece is going to be about education before buying a condo. It's kind of like a warning sign. What do you need to watch out for? So that's what I wanted to do. The next thing that you need to do is come up with some points. I don't actually start writing things down unless I know what I'm going to say. Usually I come up with about 3 to 5 main points, like an argument. In this case, I want to educate millennials who are thinking about buying their first home, specifically a condominium, because that's the thing that I have experience in, and just things that I experienced that I think might be helpful for them. So then after coming up with 3 to 5 points, I start writing my intro. And this usually just gives a background of the story, or like the context. So it usually answers the questions. What am I talking about? Why am I talking about this? What is it for? What did I experience that made me write this? Am I struggling with something? In the intro part, I basically try to tell a story, giving the reader a context, what I'm about to write. After the intro, I basically just use the points that I come up with and tackle each point with a paragraph. So as you can see, I write my very first subheading or my first argument that says the risk of getting tied to a job that you hate, and then I just come up with a story or give the reader a context as to, okay, why is this my first argument? It usually is a personal story, so I will talk about that, give my main points, and then present my argument as to why I think that this is the case. So I basically do this for all the main points that I came up with. Again, I tell a story within each headline, and I make sure that this is connected to my overall headline. I'm telling the story of things I wish I knew. So I'm always remembering that that is the main point of this blog post. I want to make sure that I'm not rambling on and I'm not giving unnecessary story where the reader will get bored and then leave the article halfway through, because I do want them to get as much value out of it as much as possible. After writing all the main points, I then write my conclusion. And the conclusion, I don't really summarize what I've said, because what's the point? I've already said it. It's more so reflection or a different insight or a different thing that I want the reader to leave, that I got some new insight out of this. Thank you so much for telling me. So that's kind of the emotion that I'm trying to get out of the reader when they read my conclusion. A lot of the times people don't even get past the third point. If you have said everything you've said in the paragraph, then they won't read your conclusion. But this is just a way for me to close my argument. So all of this process takes about half an hour, and it's about 800 words that I came up with here. So the next thing is that we're going to go editing. I don't actually edit at the same sitting, but if you want to practice practice publishing more often right away, then you can do this. I did this at the very beginning of my journey to get the practice of publishing consistently, but then after a while, I learned from other experienced writers that they actually let their ideas sit for a day or two or maybe longer. Usually I try to put a day or 2 days in between my articles, and then I come back later on to do the editing because I want to have an editor lens. So I want to see from a reader's perspective, how is this article going to be? My editing process looks like this. I basically go on Grammarly and paste everything there. I had bought the premium version of Grammarly because I'm going to be writing a lot, so I thought it was worth it. And I basically just get rid of the things that it suggests. Sometimes I don't follow all of their suggestions because it does not make sense. Especially if English is your second language, then I would recommend using Grammarly just to stop being self-conscious about your grammar, which was definitely the case for me. So it took me about 15 minutes to edit this whole process and make sure that the grammar is fine and all the unnecessary paragraphs, words that don't make sense are removed. Basically, just kind of how does this article sound is what I'm trying to strive for here. Then I'll do a second editing on a platform called Hemingway. This platform gives you a score as to how readable is your article. Usually, the lower the grade it is, the better, because it's more understandable to a person. If your grades, let's say, says like it's grade 8 or grade 9, that usually is harder or complex to understand. And the harder it is to understand, the lesser your reader is going to be engaged through it. You don't want to sound smart in your articles. You want to be understood. You want to be specific. You want to be able to have a conversations through your article. The platform gives you different color coding where it says you should only have 15 or fewer adverbs, and depending how many red highlights you have, then you can start changing your sentences there. Maybe you can, instead of having one long sentence, you can cut it into 2 or 3 different sentences to make sure that this is going to be readable to your reader. So this process takes about 10 minutes, and then I copy everything that I have edited on back to the Medium platform for the third edit. For the third edit, I am editing for flow and structure. I want to edit this for the reader's eyes. When someone comes across my article, they are not going to read it right away. They're going to skim through it. So I want to make sure that the headings look good, the paragraphs and sentences, they're not very intimidating. So I will cut out different sentences, different paragraphs with different sizes. Sometimes I'll have 1 sentences, 3 sentences, and then 1 sentence. So that would just play with the rhythm of the article so that the person is engaged throughout your article. The last thing that I do before I publish the article is to find a photo, because Medium, that's usually how the best articles are. The structure is that they have a headline, they have a subtitle, and then they have an image. So I will go on a website called Pexels or Unsplash, and usually I will look for images that evokes this emotion that I'm wanting, which is kind of regret, because I'm saying these are the things I wish I knew about buying a condo. So I will search different words that will represent that emotion. This is the photo that I chose. The fourth step is to publish. If I'm happy with this draft, then I will either publish it on my own. On Medium, you can do that. You can self-publish, or if you want to get more eyeballs on your article, then you can actually submit it to a publication. So in this case, I actually submitted the article to a publication called Making of a Millionaire, and this is just a publication that I have been accepted previously as a writer, and once you're accepted as a writer in that publication, you can submit as much as possible, depending if your article actually matches the needs of that publication. There's so many publications on Medium, depending if your niche is in the personal growth or creator economy or finance, travel, relationship. Basically, each publication has its own niche, which is what makes Medium such a great platform for new writers, especially if you don't know what your niche is going to be about. So that's the whole process of how I write a Medium blog post in just about an hour. And I wanted to talk about why I write on Medium, even though their algorithm isn't the best or it's not as good as other platforms. Medium is great when it comes to learning how to write. So if you're a beginner writer, you can publish right away. You don't need to set up your domain. You don't need to buy a website. All of this are all taken care of. You have your own personal blog and people can find your work through Medium. Overall, it's just a really nice platform to get some sort of feedback. People can like your posts. They can comment on them. They can DM you if they need to. You can capture people's email address if you choose to turn this into a business later on, or if you just choose to get in touch with readers who really love your stuff when you grow. And another advantage of writing on Medium is that you can actually make some money. Not all of the countries are included in their Medium Partner Program or MPP, but if you are in Canada or US or other European countries, then you can sign up for this program. although you do need to have 100 followers before you can sign up. But once you get that, you can actually earn money when people read your stuff. So the more you practice, the more people will read your stuff and the more money you'll make. You're not going to be rich by writing on Medium, but it's going to give you a boost that you need in order to learn how to publish consistently and also gain some audience along the way. If you like this video, you might want to check out the video Why Start Blogging on Medium, and I will see you in the next video.